Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today we have a review of Chapter 876, Pudding Coincidentally Appears. And that chapter title pretty much sums up my feelings about this week very, very well. Pudding appears and the group plan to bake a cake. That's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time. So yeah, it's becoming pretty clear at this point that this is going to be more of a chapter rant than a chapter review, but to me One Piece excels at three particular things. Those things being story, characters, and artwork. And this chapter just didn't deliver in terms of, well, anything. In terms of the story, we already knew Pudding's plan was to make a cake, and we had assumed that Sanji would be the one to bake it. So we got no surprises, and only made a token amount of plot progress. In terms of characters, the bulk of the chapter is spent developing Pudding's split personality, or whatever the hell's going on with her, and really, who cares? I'm at the point where I am borderline hating, and yes, I mean hating, her character. She is easily the weakest part of the entire Whole Cake Island arc, and unfortunately, she's also apparently one of the most essential parts. Honestly, the most interesting character moment in this chapter was Big Mom continuing to chase the Straw Hat Pirates from underground. That was cool, but everything else was kinda flat. The large majority of what characters said was pure exposition, and very few personalities actually got the opportunity to shine. Furthermore, when I think about it, I don't think anybody actually did anything in this chapter. The bulk of the party did nothing but run. Big Mom just kept chasing them as she has been for like 2 months now. Katakuri stood completely still. Brook and Chopper's fights happened off screen, Zeus and Prometheus did jack all, and so on, you get the point. And as for artwork, if you look at the panels individually, the art is superb as always. The problem is that throughout the entire chapter, it just felt like looking at the same picture over and over and over again. Every panel of Luffy running or putting on a carpet just seemed exactly the same as every other panel of them doing the exact same thing in that chapter. It was just flat. I think this also might be due to some running fatigue setting in. I mean, these guys have been running for a very long time now, and I guess I'm just sick of visually seeing the same group of people doing the same thing for so long. And of course it's also that we've been here before. When we landed on Whole Cake Island, we got stuck in the Seducing Woods for ages, and now we're back, stuck in the Seducing Woods for ages. Oh, and we're also heading back to Chocolate Town, which we've already been to, so we don't really get a fun sense of new locations. And this is a bit weird for One Piece. I think One Piece is a story that always likes to move forward, so to be going in reverse, even if it's a chase off an island to where they dock the Sunny, it just feels a bit off. Even the cover story had no real value. We're beginning Sai's portion of the arc, which is great and all, but all we see is his ship returning home, and that's, well, there's absolutely nothing to comment on or think about whatsoever. But let's get to some positives, because I guess there are some, mostly the promise of what is to come in the future. Sanji had an amazing final panel, getting all pumped up to bake the cake. I think we're going to see him rock the kitchen like never before, and prove himself to be the absolute ultimate chef in the One Piece world. He also had an intriguing line of being determined to make a cake that will make Big Mom faint. And that is a way in which I've never actually thought of this arc ending. In my mind, making a cake would sort of appease Big Mom and convince her to let the Straw Hats go freely. But if the cake was so good that it just puts her in a food coma, then that also works as well. In fact, it works a lot better, because then she still remains an enemy, and the danger of the Big Mom pirates is still present in the world. But the biggest problem I have with baking a cake is that it will take time, a lot of time, and the current events are already taking far too long as it is for my liking. So I'll say this right now, any sort of Deus Ex Machina used to make the cake extraordinarily quickly will be absolutely fine with me. I won't complain about it whatsoever. You can hold me to that. And another positive point, even though he did nothing but stand there this chapter, we do have the promise of a conflict with Katakuri. The Seducing Woods are no longer active, so the running group should reach the Sunny in no time for a fierce showdown with him. But really, that pretty much does it for this week. Despite everything I've just said, I just want to make it clear that I think Whole Cake Island has been a great arc with generally fantastic pacing, characters, and story. But chapters like this are really letting it down and stopping it from being a masterpiece of storytelling. It wasn't a bad chapter, but it certainly was average in every way possible. In any case, if you enjoyed this video, and yes, I'm doing this for real this time, then feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe, and also comment with your thoughts on this week's chapter. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.